with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Hey there. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about exposed. Nevertheless, she persists, which is actually the title of my guest's book. She is an author. She is a mental health professional, Miss Alicia Curry. So I'm going to introduce her shortly. But before I do, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? In the comments, let us know. Put your city and your state. For those of you who are new to the platform, this is a safe space for us to communicate with one another. We are all about talking about mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities, trying to eliminate the stigma and encourage us to get our check up from the neck up. So, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? I see my cousin Denise is already here out of Texas. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Cousin Raymond in Virginia is on as well. Thank you for being here. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube as well as on Greater Words Network on RokuTV. So tag a friend. Let them know they want to be here. It is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so we will be talking about sexual assault and as well as grief and loss and a whole host of things. So this is going to be an interesting conversation, engaging conversation, and we invite you to be a part of it. All right, I think it's Latanya Love out of Mississippi. Thank you for being here. My mom in Miami. Thank you for being here, Ma. I love you. We got Pumpkin here. Thank you, Pumpkin. Pumpkin was with us yesterday at our Poom Poom party, our inaugural Poom Poom party. We had a blast. So I appreciate everybody who supported that event for National Vagina Appreciation Day. We have Stacy Buchanan in Liburn, Georgia. Thank you for being here. So we are again all about having an engaging conversation around mental health and wellness. And again, our topic tonight is exposed, nevertheless, she persisted. So while others are joining us, I'm going to go ahead and read Miss Alicia Curry's bio. Alicia Curry spent 12 years serving families as a school counselor. She is also a licensed mental health therapist and speaker who is dedicated to helping women navigate issues of sexual harassment, grief, loss, and its associated trauma. She holds a Master's of Science in Professional Counseling from Georgia State University, a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership from Western Michigan University, and a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology and Organizational Studies from the University of Michigan. Y'all, she knows a whole lot. She's learned, y'all. Born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Alicia Curry enjoys spending time with her daughter and family, watching college football, traveling, and investing. And again, Exposed is her first book, which she is going to tell us all about. So, y'all, help me welcome Miss Alicia Curry. Yay!
Hello.
Hey, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, Tell the peoples, Alicia, who is Alicia Curry? Not what you do, because I just read all of that, but who are you?
So I am a believer. So I am a daughter of the Most High. I am a mother of an 11-year-old beautiful daughter. Her name is Kennedy. And I love to travel. I love to spend time with my family. Um, I love to learn. And I am a therapist and I'm a first time author. And that's who I am.
Nice, 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 nice. Love it, love it, love it. Good deal. What was the experience like writing your book?
Ooh, it was a 3-year journey,
Mm,
and it was inspired by God. Because it happened at one of the darkest times of my life, when I heard that small voice, that God shared that I would write a book. And
mm,
at that time, when you're in a dark space, you're really not thinking about the light, or you're not thinking about writing something inspiring or not inspiring for somebody. So he inspired me that I would write this book. And I'm so glad that I was obedient to that call, because I realized that there is power in healing and there's power in
mm.
sharing your story. And sometimes our stories are not just for us, but it's for other people so that they may have a voice. So I'm just grateful that I was able to be obedient, that I was able to write the story and just share it with the world.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations on authoring a book. I think everybody has at least one book in them. I'm working on mine.
Okay.
At least mentally, I am. It's something that I do aspire to do. So I am. I commend you and am in awe of your doing that. So there are a few more folks on the line that I do want to acknowledge. My sister Shayla, who is down in South Florida. Thanks for being here, as well as my classmate Sharice Du Bois. Thank you for being here. Good evening. All right. So before we get going, I definitely want to, since I have a clinician on, read my disclaimer, which states that, hold on, give me one moment. All topics, past, present, and future on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right. Okay, I see Miss Kiosha has joined us. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. So let's talk about this book title, Exposed. Nevertheless, she persisted. What's
Mhm.
the inspiration behind that?
It's a story of how I am exposing my life and exposing my vulnerabilities. And I'm normally a private person. So as I'm sharing in this book, I'm sharing, I'm open. I'm an open book. And like I said, I'm sharing and exposing just so many different parts of my life, of grief, of depression, of mistrust, of being in an unhealthy relationship, um, going against the school system. So I'm just exposing my life. But in that, I was also able to persevere. And that's just the story behind the title is just the story of just learning to be vulnerable and being able to embrace our vulnerability.
Love that. No, I think that, being vulnerable definitely can be challenging and something that is uncomfortable, for us. However, I do believe that there is also liberty and vulnerability because if you are willing to state the things that um, maybe it's parts of your life that you're not so proud of or that have been traumatic for you, there can be healing and again liberty that comes through that, right?
Hmm.
Hmm. And so, so the book. um, it exposes your life, as you said, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. So can you just give us, without giving all of the book away, give us some, idea of kind of what it covers?
So, as I was writing the book, towards the end of the book, the first couple chapters changed, and the book became about grief. It talks about how I lost two brothers to murder, how I lost a niece and her family in a fire. And it was interesting because um, I had never really dealt with that grief. And I was wondering why God was having me put that at the beginning. Um, but it also taught me that we have to learn how to deal with grief, because our grief can impact how we show up in the world and how we show up in relationships, and just being able to embrace that and embrace the feelings that goes with it, um, can help change the trajectory of our lives. So um, I was able to have a moment to grieve, but I was also able to have a moment to heal in this book. I dealt with a lot of shame in this book, being in an unhealthy relationship with my superior, which was my principal. I dealt with a lot of rejection, being blacklisted from a school district. And just being on exposed and being on the local news. So I dealt with a lot of things where at one point in my life I was broken. I didn't want to live. And as a licensed counselor, sometimes it's so much easier for us to help other people
Mhm.
than it is to help ourselves. So I was going through it. I didn't know how to dig myself out of it, and I had to learn how to heal and to lean on God, and to, because at some point I was numb to God, but
Mm,
throughout the book it talks about my transformation with God
mhm.
in the book. So there's a lot in this book. Like I said, I spent a lot of time. I spent 3 years writing it. It was hard writing, and but I'm grateful that I was able to finish the book, because I do believe that we can do hard things, that we can do brave things,
Yes.
and out of all of this, I just, to be courageous is something, and it's not an easy task to do, but it's little by little we can complete that task, and it takes a consistent work for us to do that.
Absolutely. No, again, I thank you for sharing, because again, when you go through some situations or encounters, experiences that, again, you may not be so proud of, or, it's very hurtful, that sort of thing. The last thing that you want to do is be exposed as it relates to it, because oftentimes you want to hide or go within, because of those hurt feelings, or your thoughts, your expectations about certain things, and them not coming to fruition. And so, you know, while, so I think oftentimes it's so easy for us on the outside, looking at somebody else, but we all go through very similar things, right? And so, you're, again, I feel like you are brave to put your story out there like that. And I mean, I know we've talked about your story in more detail, but that could be a lot. It can be a lot. So let me pause. I see a few more folks that have joined us. I just want to acknowledge them quickly. Miss Jeanette out of Miami Gardens, Florida. Thank you for being here. Miss Sherry Sutton Johnson was also a clinician out of Chattahoochee, right here in North Florida. And Stacy Buchanan is on here. She said, "This book is a page turner. You will be happy and mad, but God." So Stacy evidently is a fan and has read this book. So that's good. That's good. So I've got to get me a copy, but I think that just shows the human condition, human emotions, and how we can we can press through regardless of what we're going through, right?
We can. I mean, we all deal with shame. But I think it's just how we move forward in it. And, my saying is you have to heal on purpose.
Mm.
That's one of the things that I've learned to do,
Mm.
that I'm learning to do, um,
Yes.
because we're going to all experience some kind of pain or some kind of trauma in our lives. But just being able to be intentional about our healing is
Hmm.
really important.
So, what does healing on purpose look like to you?
Just like I said, being intentional about healing, making sure that you practice in self-care. For me, during this time that I was writing my book, when I defined healing, God is healing. So God was healing for me. And it just became a therapeutic journal for me just to be able to write and not really make the book about, other people and, feeling bitter, but God just transformed me and transformed my mind and what I was going to be writing about to show me that it's really not about them, it's about you.
Mm.
I knew that during that time that God had a different plan for me. Um, and I didn't know what it was because I was so happy. Well, I would say happy in my career and I wanted to be promoted in my career. But what happened was that wasn't his assignment for me.
Hmm.
And writing a book was not that wasn't my purpose either. But
Okay.
but he gave me that gift and I'm able to be a blessing and now I'm able to embrace the gift that he has given me. So sometimes, we can't see the plans that he has for us, but he'll whisper things in our ears. And if we are obedient and we say yes to those things, then we'll be able to serve in a different light.
Hmm. So, it sounds like you did a lot of growing through this process.
I did, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned at one time you were numb to God.
Yeah, so and this was after my brothers had passed, after dealing
Mhm.
with a lot of death. Um, Sometimes people get closer to God, sometimes people become numb to God.
Mhm.
At that point, I became numb to God because I just didn't understand, you know, it happened one time, then it happened a second time, and then you start just having death after death after death in your family. And sometimes we want to blame God because it's easier to blame somebody, right? Um,
Mhm.
but what I've learned, because after that transition, um, I was also placed into a Bible study, and I was able to dive deeper in that Bible study. I became a leader of the Bible study. But what happened was God just showed me, that grief is love, and that we have to learn how to um, handle grief. It's a journey, just like healing. It's a journey. It's a process. Um, but I've learned that I had to just be able to feel the feelings and to really allow myself not to put judgment on feelings, but to just recognize that I am hurt, I am sad. You're going to always miss the loss of a loved one. Um, but just to really know that your feelings and your emotions are just signs communicating that your soul is in need. And at that point, I realized that my soul was in need. And I'm glad that I was able to lean on God and not really stay numb to him, but to lean on him so that I can be free.
Hmm. Wow, and you have said a lot. Grief is love, grief is a journey, grief is a process. Feel your feelings, and it's a sign that your soul is in need. I love all of that. That's great. Latanya had a question. She said, "Have you gained joy and happiness again? And why should we purchase the book?" Which we'll get to that one later. But have you gained joy and happiness again?
I've gained peace in the situation.
Mm.
Um, and I am living free. So I have so much freedom and peace now in my life, on the other side of pain, dealing
Mm.
with my situation, that I didn't think I could ever have. And like I said, when you experience trauma, it really affects how you show up in this world, um, in your relationships. Like I said, I had a daughter, and at one point, I didn't want to live, but I was so grateful that I had my daughter because she was able to breathe that life back into me. Um, so right now, yes, I am experiencing freedom. I'm able to help other people heal on purpose, able to help them in situations that I've already been through and I've already healed through. So yes, I feel like I'm feeling peace, I'm feeling joy and happiness.
Okay, good. Now you mentioned your daughter. Do you believe that your daughter served as a reason for you to live?
She did. She did.
Mm-hmm.
She did. And when we go through things and we experience that deep pain in our lives, that shame, um, we feel judged, we feel ashamed. But it's really not about that person that's looking inside. It's really about us and how we appear inside. And I was so hurt at the time. I mean, when you are on the news, you are hurt, especially when you are just a private person. Um, but I made the choice to go forward, and I made the choice to be courageous and be brave, not for myself, but for my daughter and for other women who have experienced any harassment or trauma, sexual harassment or trauma in their life. So I believe that she was my light during that time, that dark time, as well as God.
Okay. Wow. No, that is important and huge. I mean, oh, I think from time to times, folks struggle with suicidal ideations and not wanting to be here for a variety of reasons. And so, in that, and I am a mother as well, and I know that as parents, oftentimes our children can be that source or that reason for us to, or they give us purpose, right?
Hmm.
And so, that, that's powerful, that's powerful. We got a few more folks commenting. I see Miss Constant Young here in Tallahassee, thank you for being here, and Alexandria Horton says, "This book is fire. I couldn't put it down." Thank you for commenting, Alexandria. Alexandria, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about, in the comments, if you don't mind, what was something in the book that really stood out to you as a takeaway? Let us know in the comments if you don't mind. So, we've talked, Alicia, about this shame, right?
Hmm.
And so, what did you learn about shame during this process in terms of your thoughts about it, and I guess other people's thoughts about you having gone through this, and how did your mindset about shame change throughout this process, or did it stay the same?
I think that we all will deal with shame, and throughout the process, when I was thinking about the shame that I was in, part of it was just because I've always set myself on this high pedestal for myself, and just the way other people looked at me. So um, I felt shame because I was in this unhealthy relationship with a man who was unhealthy. But we all know that unhealthy attracts unhealthy. So then there, I'm exposing myself because now it's my whole life is exposed to the world, and there's something about me that's unhealthy. And these are things that I try to mask up. During your life, you try to mask up so much stuff so that other people won't see it.
Mhm.
But I during this time, it was an opportunity, obviously, for me to expose myself, but for me to also to deal with it, because we really don't have to be ashamed about being in a unhealthy relationship. We need to really identify that, what unhealthy looks like. what healthy looks like, and
Mhm.
just being able to assess that and unpack it, so that we can just be a better version of ourselves. So I think the shame was basically, it was really about, me, and how I dealt with shame. Because at the end of the day, you know, nobody else can really judge me because I know who I am. But at the same time, and I know whose I am, but at the same time, we all go through those feelings where we feel that shame because we put ourselves, we mask every day, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, you kind of ask yourself, when can you um, fully be yourself? When can you really take off your mask? And a lot of us have a hard time because we stay with a mask on every single day. So for me, just trying to live free and try to take that mask off and just be true to myself and true to who I am, and not really lie to myself about things that I'm feeling about myself.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, you are absolutely correct. We all do wear masks, and that though again, those thoughts about what those masks are, and I think that oftentimes we are very much so concerned about what others think about us, which is why we have the mask on in the first place, right?
Hmm.
Hmm. And so that, uh, which is really kind of the point behind my question about the shame, is that is it something that is within us that we are identifying as shame? I mean, or is it something that somebody is telling us that shame on you, you know?
I think it goes both ways, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it depends on the situation, right? For me, um, as I started to write the book, and I started to um, just get deep into my relationship with the Heavenly Father, there was a lot of shame that came in regards to me not living the way that I felt like I should have been living,
Mhm.
right? So there's shame in that, like, and there's shame in that part of that sin. Well, if I would have been doing the right thing, right, living, according to God's standards, then maybe I wouldn't have been in this situation. But I was in this situation. I'm so grateful for His grace, right?
Mhm.
But those are things that kind of run through your head, because you think that somebody else might be thinking you're living a certain way, right? And you're portraying that you are living that way, but then you're exposed, right?
Mhm.
And you're not really living how other people think you're living, and then you're fighting. You have that battle within yourself.
Mhm.
So it was just a lot going on during that time where I mean, the shame had became too much for me, um, and it was all in my head.
Gotcha. So now we're talking about your own personal morals and values and belief system, right? And
Right.
so you were going against what you believe.
Correct.
Mm,
Yes.
mhm. Okay. All right. So let me pause. I see Mama Yada has joined us. Thanks for being here. She's here in Tallahassee. And Mr. Johnny Johnson is on. And Johnny's got a question. Of course, Johnny is my question man. Johnny wants to know, were you in love with him?
No.
Mm,
Absolutely not.
okay. All right.
I wasn't in love. I was infatuated with how they treated me.
Mm,
Um, because when there's something inside of you that's missing, you look to other people to kind of, you know, give you that. So
mhm,
during the time, he was giving me something that I was missing.
mhm,
And there's no way I could have been in love with him because I wasn't even in love with myself.
mm.
So absolutely not.
Ooh, now you said something right there, but I'm gonna pause because we about halfway through. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I am on with Miss Alicia Curry, and we are talking about her book Exposed. Nevertheless, she persisted, and as well as just that title. We've been talking about shame, and guilt and toxic relationships and depression and suicide. And so, when these type things come up, like, how do you deal with them? How do you work through that grief and loss? All of the things that are part of the human condition. So that's our topic tonight for this Mindset Monday. I want to thank all of you for being on with us. So, Alicia, Alexandria said that what stood out for her in the book was the emotional roller coaster. It was a journey through grief, a juicy relationship dynamic, losing it all, and fallout. I really love the realness of the emotions. So when you hear that type of feedback, what do you think?
I mean, it's correct. I mean, that's what it was. Like I said, this was one of the this book stretched me. It really did. And I wrote and then I did so much editing because throughout the book, you had to really not tell your story, but to show your story. And for me to show the emotions that I was going through, the good, right, the bad and the ugly, it was really hard for me, especially when it came to the part to talking about the relationship. I mean, the man asked the question, "Were you in love?" And I was easily able to say, "No, I was not in love." And when I talk about the relationship in the book, I had to really open up to let you, the readers, know what really was going on, because I really didn't want to share the part of me that enjoyed this part of this man. And I had to show that. And that was the hardest thing for me to do. But being able to kind of stretch myself and open myself up to show how I was feeling, kind of made it easier for me to open up my emotions throughout the rest of the story. And I'm grateful now that I'm out of the story, that I can be more confident in sharing the story than before. Because before I even put the book out to the world, I was like, I can't do this. I just can't. I can't give people this part of me. But I'm glad that I did, because I've been able to just get so much just great feedback from just women and men on what the story did for them.
Love it. So I'm going to go back to Latanya's question about why should we purchase this book. But before answering that question, I want to know, who do you believe this book is for?
So I believe this book is for, I mean, it's for everyone. It's for that woman that want to be courageous and want to have a voice, but feel like she don't have that voice. And this gives her that edge to say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it too. It's for that person that's struggling with just their belief. And some people might be numb, or some people may have experiences where they have shut God out. And the book shows you that he's always with you, regardless of your situation, and how he just was able to transform my life. This book is not for kids. Okay. Not right now, but the book is for anybody just needing hope, courage, and just that step forward to say, hey, I need to do this. I need to move forward. I need to open myself up. I no longer need to feel that shame in my life. So.
Okay. So people that need some hope, some encouragement, I guess to feel like they're not alone, maybe.
I feel like they're not alone. I think the first couple chapters, what I've been hearing, the first couple chapters talks about grief, and talks about just how I felt after the deaths of my brothers and my niece and her family. And it really, if you're going through grief or you're experiencing some kind of death, it might be a little hard for you to get through that first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But once you can get past that and you can give yourself some grace, then I'll say, I mean, the book is a fast read. Um, but I'm nothing but great reviews. And
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about grief because that's something that I don't believe we do enough of is grieve. And I'm not and so I've had several clinicians on to talk about grief. And while I know most of us associate grief with death, grief is an emotion that we deal with when there's a loss. And that loss can be a loss of a relationship. It could be a loss of a job or some material possession or some hopes or dreams or aspirations that we had that were not realized, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of times we're so busy, living and pushing on because we got to take care of our children or we got to be on these jobs or, all of whatever responsibilities that we have in the community or with our families and such that we don't take time to grieve. And so tell me about grief for you. I know you were going through with the transition of your brothers, but I'm sure there had to be some grief related to the loss of this relationship that you had, the loss of your job, your life that you knew and was accustomed to and that you desired. You wanted to do what you were doing, right?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there was a lot of loss, and like you said, there's the loss of a loved one, right? There's a loss of my career. I lost my career. A loss of financial stability. For me and my daughter during that time, there was a loss of my identity, right? For the longest time, I had defined myself by the degrees that I had. For
Mhm.
me not to get, promoted or get, this other job that I was going for, um, it was hard for me because now I'm not doing anything that I went to school for at that point, right? So now I lost my career identity. Um, and I just, like I said, I didn't know how to dig myself out. I didn't know where I was going next. Um, But like I said, I mean, I was so grateful on the other side of grief, right? The grief of those types of loss, because I think at some grief that, it's a journey. You're gonna just deal with it, for the rest of your life. But as far as like my career, my identity, I had to form a new identity. And so imagine, as if you're getting out of college and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. I was at that
Mhm.
point again, like, what I'm about to do with my life. Like
Mhm.
what, so um but grief can also, like I said, grief can be love, and grief can be um just a healing process for you and for anybody that's going through it. But um like I said, on the other side is it can be freedom, it can be peace and joy, and that's what I want to continue to experience.
Okay. So recently, I had my cousin who um, is in Colorado. He has a global grief network, and we talked about grief as a gift, which I've never heard anybody talk about grief as a gift. But now to hear you talk about grief being love, I've never heard anybody talk about it being love as well. So, yeah, I just find that to be very intriguing because again, I think that we don't embrace grief enough. And, I think that we definitely need to spend more time with that. And, to hear those words about grief being love, I think when I hear that, it causes me to think about healing, the healing part of grief.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if it translates to that as that for you, but if you don't mind speaking to that a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, it was because when I was dealing with the grief of the loss of loved ones, I was also learning how to heal from, heal from that in that moment. Um, but I was also able to learn how to celebrate the memories that I had with my loved ones,
Mm,
and just be able to embrace that, because at the end of the day, my brothers they have children, so being able to share memories with their children and being able to just continue to celebrate their life that I was able to live with them was important to me.
mm,
And for a moment, I kind of shut that out. And then when you think about grief, for me growing up, I didn't see a lot of death, and growing up, I didn't see, um, we didn't talk a lot about mental health and a lot about healing. Um,
mm,
so it was kind of different, because when I did lose my brothers, I think we maybe went to one family therapy session,
mm,
and um, and that was that, right?
mm.
So then you kind of numb everything and you kind of suppress those feelings. But then when you have to open them back up, it's like, what do I choose? Do I choose to heal, and do I choose to feel all the emotions that I'm supposed to feel right now? Or do you just continue to suppress and numb? And I just made the choice that, as God had me place that first chapter of my book, that this was an opportunity for me to um, find healing and embrace the grief.
Yes. No, I think you have definitely again said that well. The suppression and the numbing. All too often, I think that's something that we do engage in again because if we feel I mean, I don't know if we think it's gonna take us out or we just gonna be non-functioning or what have you. And maybe, for a time you are able to function. But after you can't cry anymore, like there's no more tears that can come out of your eyes, then there's hopefully some type of release or some type of comfort that comes out of having to have that experience. So, Johnny has a question. He wants to know what was the turning point in your life?
I think in regards to, and I talk about this a little bit in my book, the turning point for me was one day when I was in the shower, and I heard that small voice that whispered that God shared with me that I am with you. And I literally cried tears. And it was tears of joy, because I had fought so long and I just couldn't fight anymore. And I didn't know what I needed to do, um, and how to do it. And just that small voice that I am with you, I felt like I was on the right track. And I felt like my life was going to be totally different than what I had planned for my life. And
Hmm.
that's exactly what happened.
Wow. Okay. So, you talked about a loss of identity, and I think that, sometimes even though we may have ideas about what our purpose is or what we think it could be, sometimes there could be a total shift. And
Yeah.
so,
I
yeah.
didn't think I was gonna write no book. I mean, seriously, I that wasn't the plan for my life. Maybe later on in life, but especially the book that I did write, that
Mhm,
wasn't my plan. And like I said, sometimes we do have to be obedient to God's plan.
mhm,
And I'm glad that I did, because just being able to partner with him, and him bringing those people that was supposed to help me get this book out to the world, it just happened like flawlessly. It
mhm,
like there wasn't anything. And then I also self-published,
mm,
right? I self-published the book, and that took a lot of learning. I mean, throughout the book, I had to do a lot of research. Um, and it was just, I mean, it just happened just like the way it was supposed to happen. and I couldn't have asked for a better gift, right? Um, so yeah.
Okay, good deal. I see Sonia Walters joined us. Thank you for being here. She's here in Tallahassee. All right, so whew, as we think about again, we've talked about a lot in terms of grief and suicide and shame and toxic relationships and the mask that we wear, right?
Mhm.
Um, and a loss of identity and, the turning point in your life, and how you've, picked up a another purpose, if you will, which probably was already in you. You just maybe didn't recognize it or see it from the onset. So, do you believe that you went through the things that you went through to help others?
Definitely, yes, I do. Um, and I'll just have to say again, like, um, at one point in my life, I decided, do I want to move forward in making this claim? Because I knew what was going to be behind making this claim. I didn't know how detrimental it was going to be, but I knew I kind of had a general idea what was going to happen because I had talked to counsel about it, and they share with me, this can impact the rest of your life. So, it's your choice. And over that summer, I had a lot of decisions to make to see if I wanted to move forward. And for me, I thought that I thought about my daughter, right? I thought about, you know, I wanted to also be brave for her because I wanted her to know that you can do hard things. Um, and I think that I did that. But also for other women, yeah, to be able to share with other women. Um, Writing this book have opened other doors for me. Just as far as like, you know, um, I'm in private practice, but also just being able to do workshops on healing with women and working with different teens on how to be brave, how to be courageous, and
Mhm.
it's opened other doors, other avenues that I didn't expect was going to happen, but it also did give me just that freedom and that purpose that um, I didn't dream of.
Mm. Nice, 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 nice. So let's talk a little bit about your practice.
Yes.
All right. So tell us when you started it and who you serve primarily.
So I just actually started about a month ago. But I work with both women and teens, and those who experienced grief, depression, trauma, sexual harassment. Um, I'm virtual only. I am licensed in both Michigan and Georgia, and yeah, I'm open pretty much part time because I'm
Okay.
also doing other things with the book. So
All right. And so are you taking any new clients?
I am accepting new clients.
Okay. All right. Any insurance or private pay only?
So Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare in Michigan, and then it'd be private pay for others.
Okay. Gotcha. 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 So Latanya Love says you are amazing. Thanks for sharing your journey with us. I know your book will help so many people.
Thank you.
Yes, nice, 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 nice. So I think it was Latanya that asked about why we should purchase this books. I mean, I know you kind of talked about who it's for, but why should we get this book?
Um, it's a great book, like Alexandra and Stacy said. It's a great book. It's a great story. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of transformation. Like I said, I am a self-published author, so um, the book is available on my website. I will prefer for you to purchase it on my website. And I do have a special going on now for Sexual Assault Awareness Month for the ebook. It's $5.99. But self-publishing it's a great thing. Um, but it's also a hard thing because you have to do your own marketing. So like I said, I do prefer people to go to my website and purchase the book on my website.
Okay. And we will share how folks can connect with you in just a moment. But I want to circle back because there was one more question that I wanted to ask you as it relates to your journey and your story. During this, when you were going through, um, were there folks that extended to you a helping hand?
Besides my tribe, um, wow, no. Um, there were when you're going against a school system, and you're being blacklisted, it really shows you who really has your back.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, unfortunately, the people that I thought would have my back, um, they were not there. And it was literally me against the school system.
Mm,
So I didn't have, besides my tribe, and my tribe, most of my tribe didn't live in Michigan. So
mm,
for the most part, I felt like I went through some of this alone.
mm-hmm.
And that was really hard. It was really hard to take in that, um, the people that you would have thought, um, that will come to your rescue during this time, or just really believe in you, that they weren't there. Now, I did have some people, like some teachers, that sent me courageous letters that
Mhm,
really encouraged me during this time, and I was so grateful for that. Even some of my
mm,
students sent me text messages, sent me cards and flowers during the time, and it really gave me hope too. Because that people do believe in you,
mhm,
and even in your darkest time, that there are these different people that give light.
mm.
But as far as like the school system, not really.
Okay, well, it did. I just anyone. I didn't know if
Yeah.
anyone had extended a helping hand to you, and also my kind of follow up question was to that was if they did, and this could have been your tribe as well. Was it difficult for you to receive help from them?
It was. So, um, I mean, my mom was someone that I talked to every day. That, someone that literally prayed for me every day, even when I couldn't pray for myself. Like I said, my tribe was there for me. I'm the kind of person that I don't ask for help, and I'm learning that I need to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
um, and sometimes, during that time, I did feel just alone. Um, and I think that it was on purpose. I think that it was a good opportunity for me to really focus on this relationship
Mm-hmm.
and not this relationship, because at the end of the day, sometimes when we're focusing here, that's where we're going to take our advice from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a part of my journey where I had to isolate from people, and even part of my tribe,
Mm-hmm.
because I was supposed to focus on him,
Yeah,
um, which was hard. It
indeed.
was hard.
Yeah. All right, Johnny has a question, and then I'm going to get to the comments from Danica and Stacy and Sonia. Johnny said, "Did anyone try to rescue you from the relationships?"
Anyone try to rescue me from the relationships? You mean the relationship with the principal?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that's what he's talking about.
The relationship was brief. Um, and when you're in a relationship, even whether it's a right or wrong, healthy or unhealthy relationship, well, unhealthy relationship I'll talk about. When you're in an unhealthy relationship, it's hard for other people to rescue you, because
Mhm,
at the end of the day, you're in an unhealthy relationship.
mhm,
you
mhm,
know. But once you get out of that relationship, and you start to see the things that are happening, um, you know why you shouldn't have been in that relationship. So, did anybody try to rescue me? Um, I'll say no. I was able to rescue myself and get out of the relationship.
okay. Thank you so much. All right, so, let's see. Sonia wants me to share on Send us the link on Instagram so we can share on pages. Okay, will do. Danica said you should get the book because it reconnects you to your humanity. Thank you, Danica. Stacy said this book allows you to see God move in a tangible way. He truly is good. All right. Thank you, Stacy. All right, Nicole Jefferson is on. Thank you for being here. She's here in Tallahassee. She said, "Thanks for sharing your truth. I cannot wait to read this book." Thank you for commenting, Nicole. All right, so now as we are getting ready to close out, I want to give you an opportunity to give any closing remarks and then tell us how we can connect with you.
Okay. So you can connect with me on Instagram. It's at Alicia C. Curry. So it's ALICIACCURRY, Alicia C. Curry. And then my website is aliciaccurry.com. And that's where you can go and purchase the book or the ebook, which is $5.99. And YouTube is at Alicia C. Curry.
Okay. Now show them the book. I know you got it over
Oh,
there in the
yeah.
corner. Yeah, hold it up. Look, yeah. I want them to see it. All right. Exposed.
It's the book.
Nevertheless, she persisted. All right. All right. Well, any again, closing remarks or words of encouragement that you wish to give to the viewers?
Um, I would just say that there's power in healing. There's power in telling your story. That a couple of things that I've learned along the way, that it's okay not to be okay, and that there's a story to be told, and someone can benefit from your voice.
All right. Someone can benefit from your voice. So your voice matters, and
Yes.
don't think that your voice is too small or insignificant because it is. And so I definitely got that from our conversation this evening, Alicia. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, at least some of it. You all have to get the book to get the rest of it. And talking about what it is you do and who you serve and how folks can connect with you. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm so grateful.
My pleasure. So I hope you all have benefited from this conversation, and I encourage you to follow Alicia on her social media platforms. Check out her website and get the book. Get the book. I'm gonna get a copy, and I'm gonna check it out. That's right. Exposed, exposed. Nevertheless, she persisted. So definitely check it out. So if you all benefited from this conversation or found it to be interesting, let us know in the comments. I see Stacy gave us a few hand claps, but let us know. Give us a heart or a thumbs up or something. Let us know if you enjoyed this conversation. And I want to also encourage us to keep this conversation going because again, there may be somebody experiencing something very similar to what we have talked about tonight in terms of being exposed in a unhealthy relationship, and there may be some shame or some guilt or some hurt feelings or some grief or some loss or what have you. So you just never know who might be impacted in a very similar way. All right. I see Cherise said, "Thank you for sharing your story. It will definitely help others." Thank you, Cherise. All right. And Danika's giving us some love, and Stacy as well. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Appreciate it. Nicole, all right. Thank you. Alexandria, thank you so much. Love it, love it, love it. Appreciate you all being on here. So I also want to invite those of you who are new to the platform on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Our focus again is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities, and we typically have clinicians of color on that are talking about some of the similar things that we talked about tonight with Alicia. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. We need all the support we can get. Again, just trying to be about our own mental health and wellness. So we also tomorrow we'll have Singles Mingle on. We're talking about decision fatigue and dating. well, decision fatigue and dating fatigue. So you definitely want to check that out. We'll be on at 8:30, and it'll be myself and Nick Rains and Roz Wynn. And so we will be on my personal page as well as on the Singles Mingle Facebook page and on GWN or Roku TV. So I invite you all to that conversation. And look, this is a 5-show week, okay? Because I got fair housing tomorrow at 4:30. April is Fair Housing Awareness Month, so I'm gonna have a talk with Mr. Dante Bonner from the Florida Commission on Human Relations. And then I have Wellness Wednesday. Coachy Sumter is on, and we're talking about entrepreneurship and mental health and wellness and creativity. And then on Friday is my regular CWN season 12 show with Mr. Vaughn Wilson of Mega Ace Productions. So that will be on at 7 a.m. on Conversations with Nicole YouTube and on GWN. So lots of broadcasting this week, lots of shows, but it's all to inform you and keep you aware of what's going on. So appreciate it. All right, so folks are chiming in. Connie said, "Thank you for sharing your story." Sonya giving words of encouragement, saying, "Hang in there, sis." So appreciate you all. All right, so we will catch you all next time. Have a great rest of the evening, and thank y'all for being here.